After a few days of reading and listening from different angles of arguably the biggest trade in NBA history, let's try to think over the unthinkable, attempt to find sanity in the insane, and for the sake of our collective mental health, let's parse through some of the available information that has come out the past few weeks after the most seismic trade of our lifetime. I'm sure you remember where you were exactly back when LeBron's The Decision was aired. How about the nights right after a 7.1 magnitude earthquake, the news that Paul George and Kawhi were set to team up and play for the Clippers? Or for the older fans when MJ retired for the first time? This is that type of moment, just way more seismic. We're talking about Luka Doncic here, Luka legend, Luka Magic, El Matador, the man who would have been in the Basketball Hall of Fame even if he never played in the NBA. The once 19-year-old kid who already won Liga ACB MVP, EuroLeague MVP, EuroLeague Championship, and the EuroLeague Final Four MVP, a back-to-back EuroLeague Rising Star 2017 and 2018, and a back-to-back Liga ACB Best Young Player 2017 and 2018. Needless to say, part of the All-EuroLeague and All-Liga ACB First Team for 2018. Now, a 25-year-old superstar who has been on the All-NBA First Team for 5 straight years since his second year has just been traded. LeBron, KD, and Steph never had that feat on their resume. He is currently ranked 3rd in the average points per game, just behind Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain, and ranked 2nd in average points per game in the playoffs, just behind MJ. We are talking about a surefire all-timer here. The rarest, purest, and generational type of greatness. If you think you have never seen anything like this, well, it's because you haven't. We all haven't. You see, the only other time a trade of this magnitude happened, and I mean a superstar who has made 5 All-NBA teams for the first 7 years of his career, getting traded, was Wilt back in 1965, and Kareem in 1975, and now, almost 50 years later, Luka Doncic. This almost never happens. The irony of it all is we are talking about the Dallas Mavericks here, a franchise that is known for sticking with their franchise superstar, Dirk Nowitzki, through thick and thin, failure after failure, year in and year out throughout the 2000s. From the time when he was considered soft to giving an MVP speech after one of the most humiliating losses by a #1 seed, then to winning the NBA championship in 2011. The hashtag #MavsFanForLife is real because it's not just the fans who are committed for life to the Mavericks, but the Mavericks are mutually loyal to their fans by doing it right with their superstars. That's why you can't help but feel the pinch watching them doing a mock funeral at the foot of Dirk Nowitzki's statue outside the Mavericks arena, where engraved are the words, "Loyalty never fades away." Look beyond the disorientation of sentimentality, though, and attempt to be objective and practical. It's just difficult to imagine how these Mavs operate at the highest level when the center of their galaxy is Luka Doncic. It's not like you're just taking away a centerpiece in your living room. It's more like taking away the sun from the solar system. It just makes no sense. I mean, just look at their construction. They drafted Lively because he's an ideal target to Luka's passing. They gambled on Kyrie as #2 because they already had a great #1 in Luka. They traded for Washington and Gafford, mainly because of their strengths as a player, but also because their offensive limitations can be minimized and even neutralized by Luka's sheer greatness. To describe Luka as the focal point of the Mavs offense is an oversimplification that fails to capture just how much runs through him. He doesn't just run their offense, he is their offense. Over the years, and especially last year, we've seen how they relied solely on his unflappable stability, an uncanny knack for finding the optimal shot, and an unrelenting way of putting pressure on the defense. Often lost because of his flair is how deliberate he is in dictating almost every aspect of their attack. And it's not just managing their charge or masking one play when it is actually another. You can say it's masterclass puppeteering to its highest level. It's manipulating the defenses with their mistakes, tendencies, and even their game plan. His omniscient understanding, paired with his ability to hit any shot available, led him to averages of 33.9 points, 9.8 assists, 9.2 rebounds per game, at 38.2% shooting from 3, 48.7% from the field, and a true shooting percentage of 61.7. You heard that right. That's better than the finest production of Houston's James Harden. This and many more reasons further underline just how egregious it is to even think of trading him. When making this trade, you basically shorten your window and at the same time put enormous pressure to win as early as possible and as many as you can get. There are even fans who feel like a championship or even 2 championships can't really fill the hole left by the sudden departure of a franchise icon. Be that as it may, countless theories have surfaced since that fateful night of the trade. From the plot that maybe the new owners of the Dallas Mavericks want to sink every ounce of love and goodwill from the fan base to have a good excuse to move to Vegas. And it's kind of working, right? After roughly more than 48 hours, the Dallas Mavericks' 5.3 million Instagram followers dropped to 4.6 million. That's 700,000 demoralized fans. Nico Harrison has reportedly already been receiving death threats. Or how about the angle that this might be the NBA's hand moving in the shadows, giving the Lakers, the association's most marketable franchise, another lifeline? I mean, consider this. LeBron might be down to his final years and the association is experiencing lesser and lesser interest and eyeballs. The league is desperate for an intervention. Just walk with me here. How can you convince a league and a bunch of owners to sell you a top-of-the-line NBA team when you're mainly gambling people and not actually basketball people? Probably by bribing them with a Luka Doncic to the Lakers trade? Or maybe this is the NBA owners pushing back on paying the supermax to players, especially the ones they're not fully confident with. Or perhaps Nico Harrison is already buying some good fate from Nike by putting Luka on an even bigger market, because he's on his way back to the company where he's worked for 19 years. Or maybe it's a combination of all those things. But personally, after a few days of digging and putting together information, especially after Nico Harrison and Luka Doncic became available to the media, I came to the conclusion that maybe the simple answer behind all the complex and compelling considerations is Nico Harrison just lost his faith in Luka Doncic, and Anthony Davis is the viable next best thing. I mean, if you really want to move from Luka because of his conditioning and poor habits, and for whatever reason, there's no trading Wemby or the Joker, right? Most likely Giannis, Tatum, SGA, or even Ant-Man can't be had from their current teams. Then again, why? Well, it might be as simple as Harrison has a no-nonsense background, played basketball for West Point, worked with Nike for 19 years, and maybe more importantly, he is part of the innermost circle of Kobe Bryant. When he's talking about culture as a crucial part of winning, he's looking at it from the perspective of how close that superstar is to Kobe's work and obsession on winning. And well, we all know how far behind Luka is in that category. Now, do I agree with the trade? Of course not. Is there truth in this premise? Potentially, yes. But did Luka deserve the disrespect for treating him like he was a few months before becoming Zion or Embiid, injury-prone and unreliable because of his weight, all the while trading him for a big man made of glass? Or the insult of trading him for one first-round pick, without a swap, without a second-rounder? While Gobert, Bridges, Donovan Mitchell, and an aging Durant got way better deals. Was Harrison's refusal to give Luka a $350 million supermax contract, costing him $116 million, while he didn't request any trade and even bought a $15 million house in Dallas before the trade, be enough to piss him off? You can bet on that. Other than that, what we have never seen before is a sidekick LeBron James. Now granted, there was once a career scoring leader who is also a GOAT candidate himself in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who also played with an all-timer in Magic Johnson, but not as positionally nightmarish as this. Think about it. When was the last time 2 all-time big scoring, playmaking wings were on the same team? You've got to go back to Michael and Scottie, and even they don't give justice to just how scary this is. And before you give in to some corners of the internet and accept the line of thinking that LeBron can't coexist with another ball handler, much less with a ball-dominant star, just mull over the fact that he was not the number 1 or number 2 pick-and-roll initiator for the Lakers last year. If he can give way for D'Lo and Austin Reeves to operate, can you imagine what he's willing to do and just how much he will unleash a pissed-off Luka Doncic? LeBron shoots the ball better now, more than he ever did in his career. He's now more willing and much wiser at cutting, screening, and just about exploiting every overreaction, overhelping, miscommunication, and little mistakes of the defense. Now that helps with coexisting with Luka, but the other angle that is worth noting here is that his on-court savviness might actually rub off on Luka. You probably heard it by now, how old man LeBron can help Luka off-court by influencing his diets, conditioning, and just overall how he goes about his body. What if LeBron brings out his inner Magic Mike? But I really believe his on-court guidance might be just as impactful. I mean, this is also the first time that Luka has someone with this level of gravitas who can look him in the eye and tell him, this is how greatness is done. Countless times have we seen LeBron and Luka generate the finest of lemonades out of cheap lemons. Now put them together, and we're talking about water to wine level of creation and execution right here. This trade will be talked about 50 years from now, even probably 100 years from now. First the Suns, and then the Kings. You can count the Hawks if you want, but this is the most recent team that has given up on Luka. I mean, how can you even put giving up and Luka in the same sentence? Do you think this was a good trade? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.